So, 2020. This was the best and worst year of my life. It was a year that started off better than all the rest, but then progressed to be worse than all the rest because of the pandemic. And so it's still going on. It's still getting really, really bad. Uh, Here in Los Angeles, I can tell you that there are a lot more ambulances going by than usual. The other day, LA hit 200 and something deaths, which was a record high. And people just continue to be infected. They don't care. They don't wear the masks. They don't social distance. People just don't listen. And people are like this are just obvious. They just happen, and you can't convince all the people all the time, man. It's not gonna happen that way. And so, if we talk about the virus today, I will remind all of you that this variant going around in the UK and South Africa and Colorado, Japan, it's not any more lethal. Now, is it more transmissive? It could be. Has there been any experiments done to prove this? No. And yet the media decides to conclude that yes, it is. And governments are using this as an excuse to lock down and expand their fascism, for lack of better words. But the virus is deadly. It's a very deadly virus. It's killing people regardless of age. It's killing people that are very young, and nobody still knows why, though there are many theories. Why is the virus killing younger people? You could say that the virus preys on anything that you could have that is in bad condition. And I think that people that are very young get killed because they are maybe genetically something about them is just not good enough to resist, or there's something that they have that they're not aware of that is undiagnosed. Like somebody could have. There was a kid that died a couple of weeks ago, and they said that they suspect that the virus killed him because he had an undetected syndrome that the virus sprayed on. And so people who are healthy, who are dying, are actually not healthy because there's something about them that is not working right that the virus is preying on. Now, beyond that, nobody knows. Nobody knows why it's killing young people. See, because when you catch it, it's like you're spinning a wheel, and you don't know where you're going to land. You have a good chance to survive, but you also have a chance of being a long hauler. You have a chance of dying. You have a chance of getting really sick, having to be hospitalized, maybe intubated, and you have a chance of spreading it on and killing somebody with it, an older, more vulnerable person. And so today, we look at the pandemic, and it looks like cases are just out of control. The deaths are out of control, and this is officially. Every day, we have, 14,000 people getting killed by the virus. But we also have people dying in their homes, people who are dying in the streets, people who are dying and not getting tested. So the number is significantly much higher. We got to keep that in mind. There is no such thing as a 99% survival rate. Nobody knows this. The only way that you know for sure is after the pandemic. Because until then, all we have are just case mortality rates, which is not enough to really look at the big picture. And then we also look at excess deaths. Every country is having a lot more people dying than expected compared to the other years. That's another problem. And we look at the shutdowns. Sorry if I sound tired. It's 6 in the morning. I didn't feel like going to work today. But if we look at the shutdowns, the governments are just foaming at the mouth, just taking advantage of this, just to, kill off small businesses, make poor people poorer, not pass stimulus checks, and just overall just get a tighter grip on their populations. Now, historically, governments have always seized catastrophic events as an excuse to get a tighter grip on their people. They've always done this. We saw that with 9/11. We saw with other catastrophes. They love these kind of things because governments know they can take full advantage of it because people are scared. They'll accept anything and they'll pass things like the Patriot Act, or they'll pass things that are going to destroy more of whatever kind of freedom they think they have, and the people just eat it up. They beg for it and then they take it. They take it and they're thankful about it. Now we look at the vaccines. Everybody has to understand that there is nothing to say that the vaccines will prevent you from getting infected and spreading it, and spread it. Do you guys even know what? So that vaccines, all they do is prevent disease. That is all the vaccines do. There is nothing to prove that you can't get infected and spread it to somebody else. So if you get vaccinated, you still gotta wear the mask and you still gotta social distance. Because I already know what's gonna happen. People are gonna take the vaccine and they're gonna feel invincible and they're gonna go in public with no mask. They're gonna say, "Oh, why aren't you taking precautions?" They're gonna say, "Oh, I was vaccinated." I've already heard that, and that's not how it works. You have to still, you can still spread it. No, but there's nothing that's been done before to prove that. See, when you begin to learn about basic, not even technical, but just basic virology, you will learn to question things more because you need to have variable proof that so and so is so and so, and we just have no proof of a lot of the claims that are being made out in the public today. And so it's gonna get worse. January, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see worse numbers. February, it's gonna be still going hard. I don't know when it's gonna get better at this point because people just don't want to listen, and I don't blame them. Partly because the governments don't have no interest in educating them. One of the biggest faults of the entire year is the government's downplaying the virus. It's almost as if they want people to die, because it didn't have to be this way. As Peak Prosperity says, they could have given the public an education about this virus, but they didn't do it. They didn't do it. Speaking of Peak Prosperity, I kind of wonder where he was because I haven't really been watching his videos lately, because he kind of went a little bananas and kind of stopped caring about him. But he did have a issue with YouTube, but he's back now, so I'll give him a second chance when he uploads something relevant. And then Dr. John, the Mayo nurse John Campbell is still out there spreading this info. I brought him up in a Q&A for TWIV, This Week in Virology, and they straight out said he has no fundamental understanding of virology. And I was just laughing because this guy, I mean, he has what? He's heading towards 1 million subscribers, and he gives pretty bad advice on the virus. And for example, I mean, there's just so many problems with this man, and nobody wants to address it or look at it. In the very beginning, he was loyal to China. He would refuse to. He would tell his audience he is not going to criticize China. So is he on the payroll? What's going on here? Because at the same time, in the very beginning of the pandemic, he would say, Africa is lying. Africa is not telling the truth. And everybody was looking at China, and he would spend like 5 seconds on China, and okay, let's move on. He would make it very obvious he did not want to say anything against China. And he even told us to basically get stuffed when he was constantly questioned about it in the beginning. That's what he was doing. And then he just moves at the pace of a turtle. He moves at the pace of the mass media. Like, for example, like me or Sven Annen or Kevin or just even Peak Prosperity, we were saying things back in February, March, April that nobody else is talking about. And this guy is just barely starting to talk about it the past couple of weeks or months. So I am very critical of this man because he has a big following, and he is to a certain extent misinforming them, such as the UK variant. He went on the news and said that it spreads more. Okay, so my question is why? Can you prove to me that it spreads more besides modeling or PRC test? Because that's not how you measure infectious disease. You have to do you have to do experiments with shedding compared to the other variants, or the older viruses. And so I am very critical of this man. Now, the good thing about him is that at least he warns people. At least he gives people some kind of an understanding. But he could do much better, and I think that him switch subscriber count. And then there's 4chan. 4chan has been surprisingly another good place to get information. When you think of 4chan, you think about white supremacists and hacking and doxing and degenerate things of that such. But in the politics board of that website, there is a general that talks about the virus 24/7, and it's been there since January. And there are people there who you could say are regulars, people who have been identified with trip codes and usernames, but it has become, in my opinion, the best place for information regarding the virus, because it's just, yeah, people from all over the world coming together, sharing information. Some of them are, and you got people of all kinds of professions, amateurs, nobodies like me, or you have actual scientists that go on there, and because it's anonymous, people are willing to say more, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing, but it has become a place to really discuss the virus freely, with no limitations. And I've been in there almost every day, just spreading and just informing, talking about the latest news. It's a very good place to go to if you're trying to talk about the virus. It's CDG, Coronavirus General, and the poll board, POL, at 4chan. Now, it's interesting because the board is kind of dying at the moment, because we have holidays, it's the end of the year, people are kind of moving on for a bit, and regardless, it goes on. The general rages on, and I'm very thankful for it. And many people who were on that general have moved on to do better things. Because you can't confine yourself to a forum forever. You have to ascend for what you know and expand to different mediums. That's why I went to YouTube. That's why I started to email scientists and other people, because I have to keep going on. I can't just keep posting in a little anonymous forum. This is gonna require more than just that. You gotta do more than just learn. You gotta do more than just whatever you're doing right now. You have to always find ways to elevate yourself, to do better, to expand. And so that's what I'm trying to do with my 4 or 5 viewers per day per video. But anyways, so that pretty much summarizes what I wanted to say. This is more of an informal video. I don't have anything else to say. I mean, I never really write. I don't really write scripts. Everything is pretty much improvised. I just kind of say what's on my mind. But I think I covered what I wanted to cover. Just brace yourself, because the worst is yet to come.